want to take you all in. Women, they want to take me all in. I had one yesterday. She was salsa riding, walking down the trail. She stopped, 3 feet away from me, staring at me with the biggest googly eyes I've ever seen in my life. Why? Because she's taking me all in. And she would have stayed there for an hour, I'm sure, if I hadn't just started moving. I just said, okay, I can see where this is going. Keep walking. Right? It's like she'd seen her favorite dress, a pair of new shoes, and 3 triple cheeseburgers with the works, and a glass of wine with, I don't know, Jean Cousteau. You know? And some sort of male hooker from the local fire hall. She was happy camper. And it's like, wow. Well, glad women like me. Because I'm still about 80 years old. That day, 2 other women, same thing, taking me all in. Children. In a traveling class with female teachers saying, he's handsome. He's handsome. That's right. It's nice to know that random 10-year-old girls think I'm handsome, right? Right, while I'm sitting, 75 feet away. Clearly able to hear what they're saying. Right. I'm trying to think of, wasn't there a time when that would have been considered impolite, at the very least? So. Something better than see. So, negative things. These are things that draw the energy down. These are things that disturb my blood. Right? This is sexual harassment. Right? It makes me angry and I process it. Right? I can walk out here and I don't get that. So I'm basically my sets of variables as to where I walk. I probably won't walk. I think I'm just done with it. I think yesterday was the last time I went out there. I've had enough. Basically 4 or 5 distinct cases of sexual harassment in the 5 or 6 hours I was walking out there, out on trails like this. I was like, wow, it produced like a bevy, unusual. And so it started affecting my aura. I started introducing disintegrating energy into my life. You can have accidents, right? And no, not good. And a couple males that weren't too nice either. You kind of pass as just a gruff older man, right? They've got their consternations. But all in all, like I said to my mom the other day, I said, it's nice to have a little positive content. I've seen a few women, they're not very positive. I don't know. I know that the world has been pretty gray here for a number of weeks now. There's virtually no sun. And you'll notice in TV and movies, nobody ever seems to enjoy the sun, right? Oh, they have the sun, very cinematic portrayals of the sun, or they travel around the sun, or go into the sun through time, but no one ever just enjoys the sun. They enjoy sex, they enjoy drugs, they enjoy violence, they enjoy fast rides and travel and intrigue and romance and love and any and everything, but they never enjoy the sun. Isn't that interesting? I was out yesterday, and the 3 minutes the sun did come out, I sat there and enjoyed it. I raised my arms and enjoyed the sun and the healing effects of the sun. But nobody else was. It was like they didn't care. And yet they probably haven't seen the sun for weeks, just like me. It's amazing. This is this is the real difficult part of winter. It's January and February and March and May and June. Because it takes that long to warm up. It's going to take that long to warm up, especially considering all the cloud cover. So we're not getting a lot of sunlight hitting the earth. Every bit matters. How do you think it gets warmer? Right? So you're not getting as much infrared. You're getting sun, but you're not getting as much long wavelength. it's not heating the ground as quickly. And there's a lot of chemtrails, so they keep a lot of sun away from this area. Like the part of the royal family that rules over the west coast here on Vancouver Island don't like the sun, or they don't want us to have too much of it. Really, maybe in some sense, I think this is considered one of the heaviest chemtrail places in the world by some people, and it may be that they just don't want us to have it because there's so much other space and air and good earthly things. And you see people that stay in their cars, they go to work. I don't know if they miss the sun. I'll mention it to people, but they don't seem to care. Not as much as I do. I met a guy on the beach and we don't see each other that much, and he seems like a little kooky. And I think, in a way he's kind of a vampire because he doesn't seem to need the sun. So it's one of the lowest sunlight hours places in North America, or maybe even in the Northern Hemisphere. I think that's probably not nearly true, but let's say North America for now. And not very much sun. So fear has been a big part of my life. Yesterday, I think was the last time I'll ever walk from Wellcome. I have no reason to be out there anymore. And, the whole town pretty much says go away enough times over the years that you just think, okay, I'm going to stop going there. I get it. They own it. They control it. The energy of Wellcome is very ordered and pretty, right? We don't have any McDonald's there. But it's also very resonant, I think, with the order that's the world. And so they have a kind of demonic specter to them. Their children do. It's like they produce wealthy people in that area. But children are almost hyper-developed in many respects. They grow too quickly, or something about it. They're very precocious, very opinionated, and very likely to objectify me. Even I've seen a couple girls with their mother. One was about 4 years old. One was about 7 or 8, and they both objectified me sexually. Not being sexual with me, but eliminating me as a gender worthy of as considerable respect as they themselves received. Where they denigrated me. Right? They didn't attribute to me the same boundaries gender deserves, and that's sexual assault. They eliminated me. I don't care if it touches me, I'm glad they don't. But no one has to touch me to humiliate me. Their children will look at me and see me like a scary stranger. And they don't mind saying it. Sitting, whatever. You know you're being objectified. Right? And yesterday the girls were saying he's handsome in a fucking what looked like a preschool class. Or at least I think they were maybe 7 or 8 years old. Are you kidding me? Right? In a way that I could hear. My mom's like, oh, that's just funny. I was like, yeah, it's a little flattering, I guess. I don't know. It's not entirely negative, but it didn't feel good, right? And it's what's in it that matters. It's like, I would never say that to a strange woman if I was 8 years old, right? She looks sexy, right? It's sexy. It means I could see myself having sex with you. It's not explicitly, right? It's not considered crude in that way, but it has a connotation, right? If I say a woman is pretty or attractive as a girlfriend, what do you think I want to do to her? Not necessarily, but it has that connotation. Right? Those tears, my faces are so pinky, it's amazing. People really just give me lots of different looks. I think they're scared. They're intimidated by me. just don't get it. I just don't get it, you know? Because when someone is a healthy person, um, they it doesn't matter what I'm thinking. It doesn't matter. I'm always ready to meet someone with courtesy, grace, and joy, because it's always a joy to meet people like that. You know, I'm open to that. I'm close to it. I'm close to decent mannered people, not people who have to look anxious. You know, they stopped and they're looking at someone's phone. It's almost like they're consulting an app to see what kind of animal I am. So I was like, oh, what kind is he? Let's see. Igneous protruvius. License plate is E8. E8. Right? Ia is the substance of spirit. Right? So eat, you're eating the substance of spirit. Give this be some negative connotations with that. Right? Ia is like our flesh and blood. Right? It's made of the substance of our flesh and blood. And you can hear it in the song of the earth, the ear, and the beat of the heart. As though, you know, the past and the future. If there's a moment to be too focused on or to be focused on at all, it is a release of the epiphanic solar intelligence of the past and the future. So the best is contracting with whatever you're going through right now. That's comforting. We're out. Let's go to the river or something. Let's get out of here for a bit. It is a couple degrees colder today, I'd say. Well, it's getting better now. In fact, it's gotten warmer just coming up that hill. I don't know how many times I have to go to SqualidCon and find an otherworldly level of negative energy from locals. It just takes one or two here and there. Yesterday it was like 5 or 6. And all passable. In other words, you might not necessarily see it as negative, but if you're tuned into your animal body, your emotional body, and think about it, I mean, how much demand, how much unwanted female energy that I get every day. And then would say, oh, I get that all the time. Well, I don't care. I mean, if you're used to it, that's one thing. I've never got used to it. Imagine if you only noticed it between the age of 45 and 50. I can't recall. I've had it on occasion. I certainly noticed living in Portugal. First off, I thought, is it like every 6 months It's something in or around my home that involves human aggression. And then it was like, and then it started to get shorter. And then it's worse. And then it's like, all of a sudden, like the last 2 or 3 years, it's just a blur of the shock and concussion of unwanted and unprovoked human violence, sexually and otherwise. It's incredible. I stopped shopping places. I stopped taking the transit. I spend as much time as I can walking around as far from people as possible, and generating new thoughts about life and commiserating with myself about different levels of bereavement and shock and human violence and explaining it as best I can. And I do a fairly good job of it as well. But it feels thankless. Quite often I don't want comments, I don't want likes, I don't want that. For me, it's all about finding the understanding. Not calling it peace or some drivel like that, just getting to the next place. Getting to the next place, get of understanding, getting out of this section of my life, which has been very difficult. I felt convicted, imprisoned, and terrified and dreadful by so many different channels, so many different places of business, and so many that is just like, it's out of this world. And then you have an endless amount of analysis you can do on whenever there's violence. Who's around? What is the story being told? What can you learn? Every little shard of evidence. Who was standing where? What was said? Other circumstances, the ownership, the place you go, people you meet. Everything about it suddenly starts to crystallize as a place where violence is not only inevitable that day, but actually was kind of always going on around you. And that anything in any place that erupts in violence is basically broiling in it to begin with. It's just that people don't understand how that is. They're going about their lives. They don't understand that violence is boiling in levels of electronic human dynamics that nobody really can. You go ahead and do the best you can, but people still get raped, right? I guarantee if you're listening to this, you've been a part of a human group that has had a capacity for cult psychology and has sexually assaulted or raped people. That has never been solved, never been acknowledged, and probably never will be heard of by anyone in your group. You know that? Customers, clients, patients, colleagues, students, professors, men, women, you name it, boys, girls, everything, anyone, anywhere, any group. Because humans will do that because of the circumstances they live under. But they will constantly rationalize it and they will never see it happening. Because that would be bothersome, wouldn't it? You'd almost have to do something different, wouldn't you? Right? Do you think it's just the Catholic Church that has problems? It's every human group that has those problems. The Catholic Church is like, at least they can move a priest somewhere else. What about mail carriers and bus drivers and doctors and nurses? In every way that if for no other reason, across the spectrum of human dynamics, they and you are opened up to bad things happening that you can feel, regardless of whether or not you can even form the words to explain it to anyone, much less find someone who will care. Because it just grates against the positive energy that different types of people enjoy getting at the cult capacity and at the laudable industrial capacities of the various professional, sexual, and religious associations of society. No one wants to question this wonderful tensile web of human goodness, good intentions, hard work, and sacrifice, and being a good person, and paying the bank and paying your taxes. No one wants to think about how truly complex that is, that it makes violence inevitable. That every group comes together in some sense in the name of money. And that the groups that come together are always coming together in the name of surrogate families. Everyone in every healing circle, and everyone in every UN circle, and every financial circle has found something to replace what used to constitute the reality and the richness of being a child and having a mommy and daddy. Everything, the language, the finance, the culture. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world, but it is a force. It is something that happens. It is something that is and starkly unsaid, if an unutterable thing about living in modern society. And it's part of how we get people to do things. Not looking at it and not coming to know more about it despite being perfectly capable to suffer in the name of every disease in the world, is part of how we go along. Or not to walk or not. I think I'll go into this forest and see if my body wants to take a poo, and then I'll go. I think I'll stick to my original plan. I don't want to overwalk it, and I don't like going into top ridge anymore. I just don't feel good about it. So I'm in also an anxiety period because I have to adjust my walk again. I have this perfect walk. I call it my winter walk, and it just stopped. Qualicum, I haven't really caught up my beliefs used to be and how Qualicum really feels to me, which is a place I don't want to be anymore. I certainly don't want to walk around anymore. I've had enough of it. I've really had enough. So this is walk essentially today. What I'm doing right now. This will be my spring walk. I've just had enough. I think right now this place is being fairly positive to me, and I'm gonna go there. It has positive recollections for me. It's a place I've spent more with family, so it's good that way. It's got a positive energy. So this is where I am now. And I have to make those decisions. They're difficult decisions, and I make them. And they're a process that I go through as a writer, as an artist. Like, this has been a big deal for me. I realized until right now, like, one thing I have to do is change where I walk. Yes, I was waiting for my mom, and I thought, I'm not doing this anymore. This place, this town, sucks the life out of me. You know, it just does. You can take some time to explain it, but it's done. There's a reason why I call it squalid town. Jokingly, but also satirically, it's not really all that good to me. So, I don't know. Oops. So that's done. So this is it. This is the new walk for me. I can't do the other one anymore. I hate that when urine just goes down your leg when you're done. I had a good place and it's like, nope. We got some lake stuff coming. And a little poo. If I do enough of those, I'll be okay. Yeah, so this is my new walk. I have to change it because I basically just had enough. I can't do it anymore. Yesterday, that town is just sucking the life out of me. I swear, I'm not supposed to be either. It's not good. The creepy people, I tell you. I'll never forget the look on that woman's face. And the follow-up and the people, the children, everything in one day. It's just like, it was a perfect story to leave with. Like, this is Qualicum. Yesterday was the crazy confidence of some of their children. And their ability to objectify me is amazing. So I'll be walking here now. Is that what the dog's telling me? Keep walking. Get your dog. So I'm basically deciding as each day goes by what this new walk is going to be constituted with. And this is it for me. Yeah, this will be my summer change. And